Hey, let's get to it. Time is of the essence. Lunch is on the agenda. Not really, but anyway. This week, I want to preach a message entitled, Growth is Better Than Death. Anybody agree with that? Yeah. Some of you are unsure. Wake up. Come on. Growth is better than death. Paul writes to the Roman church, and I want to read a section of Romans chapter 12, verse 3 through 8. And he says this, because of the privilege and authority God has given me, I give each of you this warning. Anybody like getting warnings? Some of like, the warning light system on your car, tire low, right? Oil empty. You shouldn't ride with that light on very long. Warnings can be very helpful in life. And so Paul is writing a warning here to the church that I think we could pay attention to. Don't think you are better than you really are. Anybody have that problem? I do. There are often times where I feel like I'm better than I actually am. I can do more. I can achieve more. I think I am nicer than I really am. And then my friends come and say, wow, you were really not very nice in that moment. Oh, I thought I was better. All right, Paul's saying, don't think that you're all that. There used to be the saying, you're all that in a bag of chips. I met somebody one time, you're all that, but you ate the bag of chips. Like you didn't. Thought I'd go with it, that didn't work. Be honest in your evaluation of yourselves, measuring yourselves by the faith God has given us. Notice here, he's saying, don't measure yourself to the world standard. Don't measure yourself to what you think you are or what you're not. But measure yourself to God's standard. Measure yourself to what God has given you. And oftentimes, if you're anything like I am, we can listen to the wrong voices and the wrong crowds and allow the wrong situations to tell us that we're less than what God thinks we are. So here he's telling us, hey, I'm warning you, don't think yourself too great. But let me remind you that I've created you. So therefore you have the image of God inside of you. And don't think down upon yourselves either. And we have this back and forth. Just as our bodies have many parts, and each part has a special function, so it is with Christ's body. We are many parts of one body, and we all belong to each other. Pastor Chris's paraphrase is, we are better together. We all have many parts, and we are better together when we're working for the same goal, when we're moving in the same direction. In His grace, God has given us different gifts for doing certain things well. That word well there, it kind of, he's saying He's given you a gifting, He's given you a purpose, He's given you a personality, He's given you passions, He's given you talents to do something. And I would reference that He's suggesting to do something for His church, to do something for His kingdom, but He ends it where to do it well. That word well indicates this idea to me of excellence. That if we're going to do anything for the Lord, let us do it with excellence. Let us give everything we have. Sports terminology, let's leave it all on the field. Leave it all on the court. I don't know about you, but there are moments where God has asked me to do something and I haven't done it wholeheartedly. I've kind of left a little bit in reserve, hoping that, well, maybe if He asks me to do something else, I'll have enough. But here, Paul's saying, hey, whatever your role is, whatever your gift is, use it and use it well. Do it with excellence. So if God has given you the ability to prophesy, speak out with as much faith as God has given you. If your gift is serving others, serve them well. If you are a teacher, teach well. If your gift is to encourage others, be encouraging. If it is giving, give generously. If God has given you leadership ability, take the responsibility seriously. And if you have a gift for showing kindness to others, do it gladly. How many are thankful for the people that are gifted with kindness? Right? And so we need a little kindness in our life, right? And it goes hand in hand with another passage in Scripture that says, whatever your hand finds to do it with all of your mind, or do it with the best of your ability, or do it as unto the Lord. There is a requirement that God has given us gifts. He's given us function within this body, but He requires that we use it and use it well. Use it for His kingdom. Use it for His purposes. Hebrews 10:24 through 25 says this, let us think of the ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works. See, he's talking about a relationship here. The body functions as many parts under one roof. But we have to work together to motivate one another to acts of love and kindness and good works. And let us not neglect our meeting together. Paul is the writer of Hebrews here is referencing this idea that, hey, you have purpose, you have gifting, you have value to the body that is the church. But if you neglect being a part of this body, you're missing out. And some are doing that, he says. As some are doing. So it's important for us to be a part of what God created us to be a part of. He created us to be a part of the body of Christ, which is the church. It's the gathering of the saints. Whether it's here on Sunday morning, or in a small group setting, or in a Wednesday night classroom, or at Elevate, or young adults, or wherever it may be, let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works, not neglecting meeting each other, as some people do, but encourage one another, especially now that the day of His return is drawing near. There's purpose in all this. Live out what God created you. Live within the community He created you to live in, because there's a day coming where He's coming back for that community. There's a day coming where He's coming back for His bride, for His church. And we need to be a part of that. We need to be functioning in that. We need to be a well-formed body with many parts, all functioning under the same principle and idea. The church, I believe, is the most beautiful thing God has given us outside of His Son, Jesus. I believe that the function of what the church represents, to win the lost and to make disciples, to advance God's kingdom and throw back the gates of hell. I believe that the church is the most beautiful thing that God has given us. And God set it all up, get this, based on people. That can be a little irritating if you're honest. Right? People can be tough, can they not? You guys hear what I'm saying this morning? Everybody's checked out. It's a rainy day, just want to go to sleep, should have watched the live stream this morning. That's encouraging, isn't it? Not really. Sometimes it's a little discouraging that God created His church to function with people. Because people can be tough. There are many times where we don't like that if we're honest with ourselves. We don't like the idea that God wants to use people we would never use. God wants to do things with others that we wouldn't have picked to do. I don't know, you really want to use that person? Because they don't like Chick-fil-A. God, are you sure you want? And we kind of get in this little arguing match with the Lord, and just say that you kind of question His motives and His direction, but it's because it's surrounding people. When we don't get along, newsflash, you don't get along with everybody. You don't get along with everybody that He puts in our path, but that's the beauty of the body, is that we're many parts formed together. It's not exactly how we would have done it. It's going to take longer that way. You ever kind of sat back and watched somebody do a project and you're like, yeah, should have done it this way. It's going to take you double the time now. Sometimes we do that with God. We kind of question His moves and who He's using and who He's putting in a position. Maybe you did that with me. We all have a different function. We all have a different role. We all have a different reason in His body. And He chooses who He wants to use, get this, to help us. It's often the people He uses and the way He does it and the time He takes that makes the difference. It's often the people He uses that we would have never used, the way He does things to come to pass that we would never have taken, and the time He takes that we would have never given it that makes a difference. Talking about growth is better than death. How do we grow? How do we grow in community? Why did God set the church up to be surrounded and involving people? And how do we use that to grow? There's always a direction in which growth can happen. Yesterday we were with some friends. I was cutting down some trees with some friends, and we were clearing out the backyard and different things like that. And one of the large trees in the backyard, I looked up, and about 20 feet high, it looked as if there was a limb coming out about 8 inches in diameter. It was coming out, and then about 5 feet up, it looked like it was going back into the tree. Like, man, that's really interesting. And as I was thinking about that yesterday, last night, and this morning, I was going, man, I wonder if at some point that tree was up against something, or that limb was pushing into something, and so it kind of redirected it. But notice, like, oftentimes, when you look at a vine, you look at a tree, look at anything like that, if it runs into a wall or runs into an inanimate object, it doesn't stop its growth, it just keeps growing. It just changes direction. There is never a season or a place God will put you that growth can't happen. Even in the barren places, fruit is produced. Even in what seems like God is not present, He's up to something. And so growth happens even in the weirdest of locations. And get this, our most important points of growth typically happen in a manner or season or involving people we would have never chosen. Rarely have I asked somebody for advice or shared a tough time that we were going through or something like that, and they just responded, hey, I'm sorry, I was born, I lived a pretty great life, I have no problems. Most often when I share what I'm going through, somebody goes, oh yeah, I've been through something like that. I've been through this scenario. I've been through this pain. I've been through, I had to deal with people like that or opposition like that. And it's never what we would have signed up for, but God always uses it. He always uses it to grow us. He always uses it to help someone else. It's never what we would have chosen to go through, but it's often what we pull from in our experience and in our life journey that helps us and helps others to move past and grow as well. If there's one thing you take away from today, take this idea. Oftentimes, when we want to grow, God sends people. Depending on where you're at this morning, that might be encouraging or discouraging. Oftentimes when we want to grow, when we ask the Lord to grow us or we want to change, He uses people. He doesn't say, all right, go sit under that yellow light until some plants grow out of your head, right? He says, no, I'll send you some people. I'll bring some people your way and I'll help you grow. Here's some types of people He brings our way. You ready for this? He brings sandpaper people. Anybody know who I'm talking about? Don't look at them. Phil, I saw that. No, I'm just Sandpaper is a rough material used to make stuff smooth. That makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to how it works. But it really hurts if you come up against sandpaper. It kind of like scrapes and tears and all that stuff. And a sandpaper person is somebody that God has placed in your life or is using in your life to kind of smooth out the rough edges of your life. Now I know this is a real shock to you, but I have no rough edges in my life. But God uses people that are hard for me to get along with or to see eye to eye with or that really kind of weigh or ask too many questions or this, that, or the other to help me grow. Sandpaper people are difficult for us to deal with, but it's necessary for us to grow. Because their strengths are not our strengths. And their weaknesses are not our weaknesses. It's this many parts of a body under one roof. But here's the kicker. Just as much as we're annoyed or irritated by people that that feel like sandpaper to us, you are sandpaper to somebody else.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Somebody just looked at their husband. I'm laughing. Like, you are sandpaper to somebody. You might think you're all that and a bag of tricks, but let me tell you, somebody can't stand you, but God's using you in their life. And it's important for us to see the benefit of doing things alongside of people that we don't necessarily wouldn't choose or don't really see the benefit of, because God has intention in it. He has a plan and He has a purpose in it. Next, He sends encouragers. He sends encouraging people along the way. These are people that are easy to get along with because they're always in the corner. They're like, anybody seen Rocky?
Yes.
Really? Just that many? Come on. It's like, it should be like part of moving to Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. You got to see Rocky, right? But it's like, you know his trainer in the corner? What was his name? Mick. It's like Mick's in your corner. Come on, Rocky, you can do it. Put a punch in there. Come on, you can do it. You can really get him. Right? And he's always in your corner. God sends you people. He brings people into your path, into your life, to be in your corner no matter what comes your way. No matter if you're fighting Apollo Creed or the Russian cosmonaut or whatever that guy's name was. Like, no matter what's happening, there are people you know. And if you don't have anybody, you need to get some, because they're really blessing in your life. And God He'll bring people in your life to help grow you, to help advance what He's trying to do through your life, to encourage you on. To be that one that just is constantly encouraging you and drawing you closer. In college, I tried to run one time. And there's a lake not far from the college I went to, and if you ran from the school around the lake and back, it was a 5K. What was that, 3.6 miles? So I drove to the lake, and then I proceeded to run. But my run was not, I did a little running in high school, not much, tried to stay away from that. Didn't see the value of it, now I do. But I went with a friend, John. John was a skinny cross-country guy all of his life, loved running, didn't understand it, but we got along anyway. And so we went to Wendy's, we ate about like 4 hamburgers. He's like, let's go for a run. I was like, okay, let's do it. And so we get out there and we're running, and the first, we get to like the first little bit, like, I'm running, but I'm kind of feeling it. Got that pain in your rib cage. You know that pain? Anybody? And I'm like, John, how far have we went, John? He's like, we went 1/10 of a mile. And I'm like, oh man, got a long way to go, right? And so we're running, and as we pass the half-mile marker, my run has become more of like a trot. Like, I'm kind of like, I'm coming, John. He's waiting. And then I see him stop. And I was like, oh, we must be done. But John paused and stopped to encourage me on. And he was shouting, just to that side, just keep running to that side. And they kept moving. It's like the carrot in front of the horse. Right? And so he just kept encouraging me on constantly all the way until we finished the whole lake. And like I said, I only did that one time. But John was there at every pass, at every mark. He said, come on, just a little farther. Don't give up now. God still got plans. God still got purpose. He's still got a reason for you being here. You still have a crucial part to play in this body of believers. And it's not time to give up now. Some of you need to hear that today. It's not time to throw in the towel. It's not time to give up on the dream. It's not time to look after other things. God wants to put people in your life, and He has put people in your life that are trying to encourage you to move forward. Next, He puts people that will resource you. Man, they love you, they know you, and they just want to see you move forward. And they'll come alongside, they'll pay bills, they'll give you gifts. We had somebody this morning, they grabbed me aside and they said, hey, I just want to let you know, last week we were leaving church and we drove by a little kid's bike and a scooter that was out there for free, so we picked it up and we just want to give it to your girls. I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. The crazy thing is, he didn't know that Adeline's bike is broken. She's been reminding me. The last few weeks, like, Dad, can we get the bike? Can we get the bike? And I'm like, Mr. Tyler's supposed to come fix it, but he hasn't fixed it yet. If you didn't know, Tyler and I are neighbors now, and we have this whole, I helped you with this, you helped me with that. And so, like, that meant a need, a resource, a need in our life, and he didn't even know. And now I have a scooter to ride on alongside of it. It's awesome. So he brings sandpaper people, encouraging people, resource people, and then he brings accountability people. So the middle two are easy to handle because that's all, man, that's great. Encouragement and resource. Yes, Lord. Sandpaper and accountability are a little tough. Accountability people are the people that you allow access into all spaces of your life. And if they see something out of line, if they see something that God is not pleased with, or maybe you're running off course with, you have given them the ability to speak to it, to call you on the carpet, to read all of your mail, even the spam mail that comes into that mailbox and nobody ever checks anything. Like, they have the ability to say, you know what, I think you're off mark. I think you really need to pray about this before you make this step. And I heard a pastor suggest that you should have no more than 5 people in your life that can have that authority, that have that wisdom. And I would suggest that you would too make sure that it's godly counsel. They know the Word of God, and they know you. And so the idea that you have people in your life that are helping you move forward. And it's not easy, and it's not fun, but it's necessary. God wants to grow something in your life, and He wants to use people to do it. But we have to allow those people in. And oftentimes, we don't want to allow those people in because it's tough. And it hurts. And it causes pain. And we have to actually look at ourselves and not look at everybody else. But it's so critically important. I shared a story in first service. We were driving down to Florida. My friend Josh Sims and I, we were driving to Florida to pick up Kristen to move her to Alabama. And we were just engaged. We were about to be married in a couple weeks. And so I had the church van, brand new youth pastor of like maybe 2 or 3 weeks at that time. Church van and church enclosed trailer. Driving down to Florida on I-10, going east, right by Tallahassee and all that stuff. Getting ready to go on I-75 down south, and we're about to hit the on-ramp or the off-ramp and see the party lights coming up behind me. By that I mean the police. And so, I decided to pull over because I thought he wanted to go by, and sure enough, he pulled over with me. I was like, oh no, this isn't good. Church van, trailer, brand new employee, all this stuff. And so he came up to the window and said, sir, why don't you stop back there? And I said, stop for what? And he said, the inspection station. Inspection for what? Agriculture. I don't have any fruits or vegetables with me. He said, well, you have an enclosed trailer, and the sign said you have to stop. I said, oh, I didn't see that sign. I'm trying to get my soon-to-be bride. He's like, oh, that's understandable. And so he's like, well, I have to inspect your vehicle on your trailer. I said, all right. So I had to open all the compartments and doors and all that stuff. And he had to go through his little thing. And he told me, make sure you stop on the way back so we can inspect you again just to make sure and all that stuff. I said, okay, yes, sir. And I think we kind of operate in this regard with people that God is saying, hey, you need to have people that know you and know you well. You have to be willing to make the stop, open all the doors, allow them to call you on things and check you on things so that you can be everything that I've purposed you to be. Otherwise, you isolate yourself and seclude yourself to a place that sin can crouch in and no one would know it. You have to be willing to stop every once in a while and get inspected. So this thing, the church, is made up of people and by people. All different types of people. But we're all brought together. Romans 12 says we are many parts of one body and we belong to each other. We are better together. The interesting thing about this word church is that it never meant the building. The original language is just talking about the gathering of believers. They were in house churches. They were going from here to there, and we've kind of adapted it to be this large institution or this specific building or zip code or address. But really what God's intention here was you just need to be in community. The church is a community of believers in which you find yourself in. So like I mentioned earlier, your Grace Assembly here on Sunday mornings, but you're also Grace Assembly at the Young Adult Small Group, or the Light Small Group, or the Heim Small Group. You're also Grace Assembly at Wednesday nights, or your Grace Assembly when you meet each other at Giant. Your Grace Assembly when you see yourself at the community parks. Wherever we go, we are His body. We are His hands and feet, with many functions. But we're unified. We are better together. Amen. So why did God set it up this way? I believe a couple of reasons. Because He knows we're better with each other. Turn to somebody and say, I'm better with you. Not turn to somebody else and say, you're better with you. Some of you like that too much. Community makes us better. Community makes us better. Sharing our burdens together. Keeping each other accountable together. Encouraging each other onward. Resourcing each other and helping each other out to see God's dream inside of each other come to fruition. So how do we grow? How do we allow this body of believers, this community we find ourselves in, to grow us? Well, first and foremost, it happens through Jesus Christ. It happens by allowing Him to have access. Allowing Him to be the one that checks us, and the one that encourages us, and the one that forgives us, and the one that cleanses us. And so I'd say to you today, if you're here and you've never asked Jesus into your life, if you've never surrendered everything you have, if you've never invited Him in for a relationship, a personal relationship, I would love the opportunity to lead you in that prayer and to lead you in that journey, because we believe that you are better with Jesus. We're better together, but we're better when we're with Jesus. So invite Jesus in. invite Him in. Say, God, I give you everything I am. And I receive everything you have for me. Secondly, it's by centering our lives within the community God created for us. Centering our lives within this ecclesia, within this koinonia community, this love and this place where, man, we can know each other and we can know the Lord. Where we can support each other. Where we can dream together. Where we can go after what God has purposed this church to do. And I believe there's 3 ways in which we can do that. I think there's like 3 practical steps I want to give you in order to see this happen. And Kristen's going to come and just play some beautiful music because first service it was dry and there was no music, so I asked her to come and do that. Kristen's kind of like the pot, or I'm like the pot of dirt here, and Kristen's like this beautiful flower. I believe there's 3 things that we can do. Who would say you're like a master gardener? You like have a green thumb? Anything you touch grows really well? There's no pride in that. Just anybody? Pat? I had head shake. Ian? Kim saying no. Tyler? A couple plants out front. Yeah. Hey there. How you doing? You can turn that down a little bit. Pastor Mason has a pretty good green thumb. There's some ladies in first service, but I would say I have like the black thumb of death. Anything I try to plant dies. You know what? I'm going to include my wife on this because we do this together. We actually debated having children because we couldn't get anything to grow in our garden for a long time. So can't get a tomato plant to stay, can't even have an herb garden, nothing. Should we have kids? Yeah, why not? It's worked out pretty well. But it's like planting in this dirt. You need a couple things in order for a plant to thrive, for growth to happen. First, you need consistent watering. Would you agree? Get it out in the natural rain. We have plenty of that going on right now. Or at least you need the water jug. That's one thing we're terrible at. We always lose the water jug, and you know. The next thing you need is good soil so you can form a great root system. Roots need to be able to go down deep. Psalm 1 says that it's like people that know the Word and love the Word are like a tree planted by the streams of the living water. And their roots will grow deep. And the next thing I would suggest you need in order to see a plant come and become like this is you need to actually put the seeds in there. Believe it or not, I think I forgot to do that one time. Why isn't anything growing? Yeah, they're still in the bag. So you need consistency. You need a root system. You need connection. And you need to sow into it. I believe if you desire your spiritual walk to look a little more like this instead of that, there needs to be consistency to the house of God. I know we're getting summer. That's okay. You're allowed to take vacation. I take vacation. It's good. Rest is a biblical thing. But consistency to the house of God is vital in order for us to grow. Nothing grows by sporadic watering. It doesn't grow well anyway. It's when you get those ugly offshoots and it's going after different things, right? But you also need connection. You need deep roots if you're going to withstand life. You need to be connected to the body and not just somebody who attends on a regular basis. So there needs to be consistency, there needs to be connection, and then the last thing is you need to sow into this thing. This flower would have never grown unless somebody planted a seed inside the soil. Nothing grows well without consistent watering. And in order for something to grow well and strong, it needs to have deep roots. And in order for something to grow at all, you need to sow into it. So what am I saying? consistency to the house of God. Number 2, get connected. Get in a small group. Get in a Wednesday night class or a Sunday morning class. We have so many different opportunities, and we're making an effort to make them more readily available and to put them in a place where you can access them easier and see what's going on. We're trying to improve communication here with that. But we want you to get connected some way, some fashion, some form. And I'd love to see everyone connected in a class or a small group once a week. That's our goal. That's our hope. That you would find community. You would be able to find roots in your spiritual walk with those that you come to know and to love. And then lastly, that you would sow into this thing. How many of you loved Palm Sunday and our parking lot team? Anybody get blessed by the parking lot team? Okay, let me ask this question. Will you raise your hand? Just raise your hand up in the air. Oh man, see how many people were blessed by the parking lot team? That was awesome. So we tried this new thing, right? We came up with a whole parking lot team. You guys didn't help me at all with that question, right? I would love to see that happen on a weekly basis. Next week, we're going to have valet parking for all the ladies. I would love to see those type of things happen on a weekly basis. We want to get people involved. One way you grow, I believe, is that you sow into this house. Not financially. That's biblical. That's not what I'm getting at this morning. That you would start serving in an area. That you would become an usher. That you would become a greeter. That you would help us with our kids ministry check-in system. That you would become part of our media team. That you would become part of our follow-up team. There's so many different things that you could get involved with, but I believe true growth happens when we sow into something, when we buy into something. And until we do those things, I don't think you could be satisfied with where you're at. Because I believe God has more. God has something more for you. God has a greater opportunity for you. Growth happens. When we want growth to happen, oftentimes God will send us people. God has sent you a body, sent you this church, filled with people. People you love, people that are okay. I'm just joking. Sent with people, but it's up to us to connect to it, to get involved with it, to participate with it, to allow it to help us grow. Would you bow your head and close your eyes with me this morning, just out of reverence to what the Lord would like to do this morning? If you're here this morning and maybe you've never asked Jesus into your life, maybe you've never asked Him to forgive you of sin, maybe you've never asked Him to have a relationship with you, with every head bowed and every eye closed. If you would like to ask Him to do that, if you would like to make that move today, if you would like to make that decision, I'm just going to ask that you would slip up your hand. Say, Pastor Chris, I want to ask Jesus into my life. I believe that there's something I'm missing out. There's a void that I've been trying to fill with so many different things. I'm here to tell you this morning that Jesus is the one that fills that for you. If that's you this morning, would you just lift up your hand so I can pray with you? Just give it a few more seconds. Thank you for that hand. Put that hand down. Anybody else? Father, we thank you for the responsive hearts today. You're sitting in this place with your head bowed, your eye closed. So, Pastor Chris, I need to be either come more consistent, I need to get connected, or I know the Lord's asking me to step up and start serving. The simple response today would be just to raise your hand and say, yeah, one of those is me, Pastor Chris. God's challenging me. Thank you for that hand. Thank you for those hands. God's speaking to me. Thank you. Anybody else? Awesome. Father, we thank you today for the response to your word. God, that you said we are many parts of one body. That we all have a critical part to play. We all have a functional part to play. We all have a necessary part to play. And it's because, it's only when we get connected to this thing, when we're consistent with this, when we allow our roots to grow deep, and when we start to serve and sow into this thing, that we see growth happen. So Lord, for every hand raised, for every person here represented this morning, I pray you would challenge us to grow deeper, to grow stronger, to lean into you, to be like that tree along the banks of the water, with a strong and firm foundation. We thank you for it. It's in Jesus' name. Let everybody say,